What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's plan is to work on the S10 some more, so let's get to it. If you watched the last video, you saw that I got my axles from Dutchman Motorsports. There was an issue with them being that the button on the end of the seat where the seat clip goes, right there, was too short. They were accidentally machined too short. I have been on the phone with them and they suggest just TIG welding a washer to the end of it and that should be fine, which makes a lot of sense to me. I think it should be okay. I mean, my initial thought was that, but obviously I just bought new axles, so I didn't really want to have to do anything like that to them. I'm not going to fully weld them. I'm just going to tack them on in like 4 spots all the way around, like 4 corners. I need like about 65 thou. These washers are 90, so then once I weld them on, I'll have to smooth them out, get them to the exact amount that I need. So if I need a little more than the 65 to make it so it doesn't have lots of play, I can do that. He says that it should be fine. Unfortunately, living in Canada kind of sucks to have to ship things back and return them, and you know, with the shipping and crossing the border and everything, this should definitely make it a lot easier and make it a lot easier for me to get the truck together quicker. And I don't really see an issue with doing this. I don't think it's going to be, you know, a problem. I was kind of concerned about the heat treating of the axles, but I don't think that, you know, 4 little tack welds, I'll have to, you know, in between every tack, I'll cool it to make sure it doesn't get too hot. He said if I had any issues with the axles afterwards, they'd still warranty them based, you know, on the fact that I did weld them, but they're the ones telling me to do it, so yeah. Like I said, this is about 90 thousandths thick. This is 0.240 thick, and it's actually supposed to be 0.305 thick, and that's where my issue runs in. So it's not that the axles don't fit, it's just that when they're in, they have too much play. So this is going to close up the play between the pin and the axle, which is going to make it okay. I'm just going to clean this, tack it, and then I'll have to smooth it down, either file it or use a flap wheel to creep up on the thickness and get these things in. Alright, so I did the one. You can see it here. Just 4 little tacks. It's not even hot. I cooled it with a rag between every tack. I think that should be good. But like I said, I have to thin this out now to the right thickness. Thought I might have to use a filler rod, but I'm just fusing the metal together. Of course, I should have both my gloves on, but I didn't want to get it wet with the water. And there you go. It gets warm right now, but it's not hot at all. So I'm pretty sure that didn't damage anything. And there it is. Now I'll just have to smooth them out and take a little bit of the material off and then test fit them. Alright, so now I just took it and took a little material off the end. And now when I put the pin in, it goes in no problem. And there's a tiny, tiny bit of play. Just a little bit, but nothing major, which is exactly how it should be. So we're all good to go. I just have to do the other side. Like I said, I'm just taking a small bit of material off at a time, kind of test fitting it so that I get a nice fit without it being too loose or obviously too tight. All right, so now that I got all that on, that's all good to go. My next thing to do is to fit these rotors. Now, these rotors are from the Explorer. They're 4.5-inch bolt circle. This bolt pattern is Chevy, so it's 4 3/4 bolt circle. Now I could re-drill different holes. I did some reading and I did some looking around on the internet, and what guys are saying is that pretty much it almost fits, right? Because it's only from 4.5 to 4 3/4. It's not that much. So what guys are saying to do is just grind open the holes. Well, the one guy said to use a step bit, but I think that using a step bit opens the whole hole up. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the top of each hole, like here, 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 with a die grinder. I'll just take a little bit of meat off of there, and then she should fit right on. Like I said, I could re-drill it, I guess it would be no big deal, but this should work. I mean, Clayton said he would do it at his work, but this should work, should be easy, and should get them on. And I think by doing it the way I'm doing it, it's still going to be in that same hole, so there shouldn't be any movement. And I mean, really, once the wheel's on and it's tightened up, it's going to be smushed in there. There's no way this could move anyways. So I think that's the easiest way to do it, so that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so there it is. It's on. These little areas, well, this one probably you can see the best. That's where the original stud should have been. So I mean, really, it's still, you know, it's still the same as factory. It's just oblonged out a little bit. So I think that's better than adding more holes. And I mean, it was easy, right? Caliper's on, I just have to tighten it up, and this side is done. And then we'll do the other side the same way, and the rear end is ready to go in. People have made some comments about the sound, and Mike really hates the sound too that this GoPro makes. It's something with the Hero 5 and 6s that they have that rustling sound or whatever. But we actually ordered a microphone and the adapter and everything, so that's supposed to be here today, and if it gets here today, I'll hook it up later and we'll see the difference. But right now I'm using the tripod just to keep that noise down. It is kind of annoying. I don't really like it. I hear it on other YouTube channels too, but hopefully the microphone and stuff will fix it, and yeah, the content will be better. Pretty much this thing's ready to go in the truck. So that's awesome, finally. A few more things to do on the frame, and hopefully by like tomorrow I'll have the rear end in the truck maybe, I'm hoping. I guess we'll see what happens. Alright, so I never ended up getting anything else done last night. Well, I did get a little bit done. I didn't film it. I had to oblong one of the holes a little bit on this bracket because the bolt wasn't quite lining up. So I did that, and then I painted it black, put the oil in, silicone it, put that back bracket on, put all the bolts in, tighten everything up, and then that'll be done. Then I'm going to start painting the lower and upper bars and whatever else I have to do to hopefully get the frame ready to put the rear end in. I'm also hoping that the sound quality has just gotten better because the microphone and stuff came today. You can see it right there. Hopefully that's going to make the sound quality of the videos a lot better, because we all know how annoying that scratching sound is, and hopefully now it will be gone, and hopefully this will up our video game a little bit and make the videos more enjoyable to watch. So yeah, let's get started doing the rear end stuff and get this cover on. First thing that I'm going to do here is pour in the old oil, gear oil here, which stinks. You already know that. But this is a nice thing about doing it with the cover off. I can just pour it in there. Hopefully it's not going to pour out. I think 2 is enough. I'll check it again after, especially once it runs through all the tubes and everything. And then what I also got is this PosiTrack limited slip additive. Now if you talk to Clayton, he'll tell you you've got to use Ford additive in a Ford rear end, but the Ford stuff I'm sure is super expensive. This was 13 bucks, and I'm sure it'll do the job. Next thing we're going to do is put some silicone. I wish I knew where the little plastic thing that goes on the silicone went. It would make it a lot nicer. These spacers that go here. And then this big bracket goes on here. Once it's dry, I'll take all this leftover silicone off of there. I should have got black, I guess. It just so happens that I have the orange stuff. And there we go. So the rear end is officially done. Ready to go in the truck now. Alright, so I got the rear end on the ground now. I actually ended up painting the upper arms, just gave them a scuff down and painted them black. And the guys are here, so they helped me get her off the jack stands. So now all I gotta do still is get this done. I mean, most of it, I'm just gonna give it a quick paint job. The only thing I really have to do still is figure out about reinforcing these brackets. I wanna put something from here to here, I think.
to give these some more stability, because really there's nothing holding them on, and they're just welded on right here. I just thought maybe I'd try to make that a little stronger, so I'm gonna try to think of what I should do with it now. This is kind of what I've come up with here. I'm gonna make a piece of metal there and a piece here, so I got 2 pieces cut out just out of cardboard, and I'm gonna weld that in to reinforce all of this where the upper arms go, because like I said before, this is kind of tied together, these two, but this one and this one aren't really tied to anything. I think I might also add a gusset of some sort from here to here, either just a piece of like rectangular tubing or just a gusset of some steel here to support this to make it stronger. And then I'm also kind of thinking about possibly adding a couple bars that go from say here to here or something. The only thing is I'm not sure about my box floor, if I actually have the room for anything like that. Once we're done these 2 pieces and weld them in, then we'll figure out where we're gonna go next. So I think that's pretty good to box that all in and make it strong. Like I said, I still might add something from here to here. Don't know if it's really necessary or not. I think this is gonna make it a lot stronger than it was. I mean, it definitely looks a lot better. So after looking it over, I decided I'm just gonna leave it like that. I think that should be plenty strong. I don't know if adding a little gusset here would really make that big of a difference. I mean, all these are tied together. All this is tied together. And actually this cross member, even though it's a factory one, it has been like, it's kind of originally 2 pieces, but if you look, you can see it was like welded, I welded it together, most of it. So that should definitely make it stronger. Now I'm just gonna clean up the frame a little more, scrape a little bit of this rust off, and give her a quick paint job, and then it'll be time to start putting the rear end in. I mean, I could do more, grind the frame and all that, but I don't think it's really necessary. It's not really a show truck. Clean it up a bit, put a fresh coat of paint on it, scrape off the scaly rust, and call it good. And then let's get this thing back together. Oh, it's just gonna clear. I want to kind of lower it till I can get the bags onto the frame, hopefully. Whoop, whoop. Something. Okay, the upper arms are kind of in there.
Here we go again.
Well, putting it on, I kind of ran into an issue. Or putting the rear end in, I should say. Kind of ran into an issue. The brake calipers are actually going to hit the frame. Now, I narrowed this rear end an inch more than an S10 one, but I don't know even if it's more than an inch, I think. I mean, I'd have to measure, but it's gonna hit. Now, on a normal S10, which doesn't have air ride, you know, at a ride height kind of like what it's at right now, you wouldn't have an issue. But because this truck has air ride, the rear end goes way up into the frame, and so now I think I'm gonna have issues with it hitting the frame where the C-notch is, but of course I can just modify that. I just didn't take that into account when I did everything. But I think even if I had not narrowed it an inch and made it the S10 length, I think I still would have had an issue, because I think it's still more than, you know, it would have still been touching the frame. I'm gonna stop working on it tonight, and then tomorrow what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean and paint the lower bars, and then get the lower bars on so that the rear end is in where it goes. Then I'll pull the wheels off, probably take the brake calipers off, get the rear end all mounted, I'll paint the shocks and put them in. After I do all that, then I'll figure out what I have to do to make the calipers work. Like I said, if I have to notch the frame a bit more, it's not a huge deal, because this is a big aftermarket C-notch anyways. It's just more work I didn't anticipate on having to do, but that happens. I guess when I mocked up the rear end, I should have had the brakes on and everything, but it totally never crossed my mind that they would stick out that much, but apparently they do. So we'll get back on this tomorrow. So it'll be tomorrow now. All right, guys. So it is the next day now. I'm working on the truck again. So you can see what I've done here is I put the lower bars in, like I haven't painted them or anything. I just put them in so that I could get the rear end sitting where it needs to be sitting. I put the airbags, bolted them to the chassis. I got it up on jack stand and took the wheel off. Now we can really get a look at the issue here. So the caliper almost fits, but obviously you'd never get the bolts in, the brake line. So really, I'm only like an inch or so. And I mean, obviously had I not narrowed the rear end an extra inch, it probably would fit. But whatever. What I'm gonna do, I think, is I'm gonna cut just above this line here, go down here like this, remove some metal, and then push this back and weld it back in. So pretty much just making this opening from that size to this size. And that'll give it enough clearance and everything will work. More work, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Right, Clayton?
Huge oversight.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I should have test fitted with the calipers, I guess, when I narrowed the rear end and was making all the bracketry in that. I mean, the only difference is I still would have had to do it. It's just, it would have got done before I had, you know, more or less thought it was done. So, well, whatever, no big deal. A little extra work. We'll get her done. All of a sudden, pouring rain outside here today. I started making my cuts here, so I cut here, and I'm gonna have to cut this piece kind of out because part of the original frame is still inside here, which I might have to cut separately. So I don't know, first I'm gonna cut this off and then see where I stand. Got one side done. I think it looks pretty good. I ended up just MIG welding it instead of TIG welding it because it was faster. But pretty much that's what you end up with. So same thing, just a bigger opening, which will give clearance for the brakes, I hope. Now I just gotta do the other side, which is not gonna be fun, but let's get that done. Got it all done. I didn't really do any recording because I was just trying to get it done and it was pissing me off a little bit. I gotta do a couple minor adjustments, but I think she should be okay now. You can really see the clearance now compared to before. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have narrowed the rear end that extra inch. At the moment, it's not really even an issue. If it was an inch longer, it was just for the future. I figured I'd do it. I didn't anticipate running into any kind of issues like this. Also painted the shocks, got those ready to go in, and Mike was doing some stuff on the Shit Horse 5.3. But that's gonna be it for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Hit the notification bell.
That's the thing again, apparently.
Yeah. Tell your friends so we can hit 20,000 subscribers soon, because that would be awesome. So yeah, check you later.